Isabella Perez, Recreation Leader for the City of Socorro. Thank you for joining today's meeting. Before the meeting begins, we would like to remind our guests to remove all hats and silence all electronic devices. No destructive behavior or outbursts will be tolerated, and violators are subject to ejection and possible prosecution.
Hola, mi nombre es Judy Rodríguez, secretaria de Planificación de la Ciudad de Socorro. Gracias por participar en la reunión de hoy. Antes de que comience la reunión, nos gustaría recordarles a nuestros invitados favor de quitarse los sombreros y silenciar todos los dispositivos electrónicos. No se tolerará ningún comportamiento perturbador ni exabrupto y los infractores estarán sujetos a expulsión y posible procesamiento.
Good evening, everyone, y muy buenas tardes. I want to welcome you all to the March 19, 2026 City of Socorro regular council meeting. It is now 6:04 p.m. and I call this meeting to order. At this time, as always, we're going to go ahead and begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you all would please stand. At this time, we'll go ahead and establish quorum.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Here.
Alejandro Garcia.
Here.
Rudy Mayor.
Here.
Gina Cordero.
Here.
And Irene Rojas is absent. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Navarro. At this time, we're going to move into the public comments period of our meeting.
Mayor, we have one person signed up for public comment, Laura Lara.
Okay. And just as a courtesy, since we do broadcast live, we need to speak into the microphone for all of our viewers who are at home, if you would, please.
Ms. Lara, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening.
My name is Laura Lara, and I'm here today because I really need information. I had a concern. It's been years of it, but in December it got severe. I have huge weeds coming from agricultural, or I'm not sure what it's zoned, off of Arlene Circle and Patty Joe. And I'm having these huge weeds come to my porch, onto my property, scratching my vehicles and my arms when I'm removing them. I reached out in December to my representative. I live in District 1. The conversation went, what did I want happen? Do I have photos? And my understanding was that a barrier was going to be put up. I left it alone. These months kept on, you know how the winds are. I kept getting the weeds. I filled my trash bin. I filled our dumpster, and still I had weeds. My dad is disabled. He had knee surgery. I have no one else but myself. I'm a single person, and I can't be cleaning up after other people. So I left it alone. Just last week, I was upset. I couldn't. My parents came over, my mom and my stepdad, and they couldn't leave my house because the tumbleweeds were in my porch. So following day, I reached out. Conversation didn't go so well. A phone call with my district rep. So I called the department. I called the city of Socorro. Alejandra answered. She was courteous. She took my information related to the city manager. Then I called the proper department. She forwarded me. I spoke to Maricela there. She was very informative. I had to ask her a couple of questions. However, she didn't lose her temper. She was professional. She got the job done. Then I reached out to my at-large. He went ahead and listened to me. As I was speaking to him, the city drove up with a truck and a cage. They filled up the cage. That's a lot of weeds. The weeds are bigger than me. My point today is I want to know, my representative, my district rep told me I needed to take pictures. Do I really have to file a formal complaint for things to happen? When I call the police department, they show up.
Ms. Lara,
They assess
Ms.
it.
Lara, your time is up.
Thank you.
Would any member of council like to suspend the rules?
Make a motion to extend her time.
Second.
There's been a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Go ahead, Ms. Lara.
Thank you so much. It's appreciated. So, as I was talking to Mr. Reyes, the city was there, they helped me. I appreciate it dearly. Everybody showed up. I mean, the first time in December, it was, I think, after the holidays, so, you know, I'm sure they had a lot of calls. I didn't get it back, you know, a response, whatever. But what irritates me the most is that I reached out to an elected official. And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been voting for a while, and that taught me that was a lesson to be learned. Not only statewide, but local. I did not appreciate that I'm expressing what is happening, who I reached out to, what I'm doing, and I'm being hollered at that I'm not letting you speak. And then you hang up on me off the phone that I'm sure my tax dollars paid for. So today, I just want to make it clear. I want you all to make it clear to me. What do I need to do to get this resolved? And in all fairness, I did see where they kind of lifted the dirt. So things were done. But in the future, how do I handle these things, you know? Because I know we all have our bad days, but do you really have to go there? It was early in the morning, it was before 9, and you're already hanging up on me. And I'm a constituent. I've never asked you for anything. So could you please direct me in the proper etiquette to do this? Do I just call like I do with the police? Or do I have to show you proof of what's happening? I think that's uncalled for. To be honest with you, it's a little far. So I'd just like to know.
So, Ms. Lara, just to let everyone know, during public comment period, our job is to remain silent and listen to the speakers. But what I do want to ask is, staff, can you please get Ms. Lara's information so we can identify the property that's causing?
Actually, Mr. Mayor, we've already taken
Okay.
steps. When I got the report, I went ahead and submitted a work request to the code enforcement, requesting to do a sweep of the property maintenance in the area,
All right.
of the empty properties, specifically for tumbleweeds.
Okay. Ms. Lara, do you have any other comments to make here this
No,
evening?
just that. I just wanted to make sure that I submitted my concerns, or, you know, as part of the community, I do it correctly. I understand you all have a lot on your plate, especially with these times. But that's all I wanted. I just don't want to be calling my representative and getting hung up on. You know, it doesn't help the situation. But I appreciate, like I said, you have Alejandra and Maricela, Mr. Reyes helped me, the gentleman that went and picked up the weeds. I appreciate
Okay.
it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments
You
this
all have
evening.
a blessed week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lara.
Mr. Martinez? No, you're good. All right, let's make sure that we get, let's follow up. Let's follow up with that. Do we have, before we move forward, I do want to recognize former city representative, Mr. Molinar, who's with us here today. Mr. Molinar, thank you for your service. And I also want to recognize our state representative for District 75, Mary Gonzalez, and I'd like to invite her to the podium because I know, sorry, 76, right? 75, I got it right. All right. I know that she has some other meetings that she needs to get to, so I want to let her speak at the mic at this time. Representative Gonzalez.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak. I wasn't intending to come here today, and you're right, I was trying to meet with Tornillo School Board on another issue. We're trying to increase literacy, so yay. I normally don't come speak during public comment. I think in the whole 14 years, I think we talked last time, I've only been here once. I just wanted to come and publicly show my support for items 11 through 14. I think that right now, more than ever, all of us need to band together and say, hey, got your back if you're gonna take action on this, to know that me as your state representative at all levels will support anything we need to do to stop both detention centers and data centers, and at least for this moment in time, right? Like, there are so many questions that are being asked, and I'll start a little bit on the detention center issue. One of the things I was talking to the water district about is I know everybody keeps talking, and also I chugged a Red Bull, so I'm speaking really fast. I know everyone keeps talking about water, and I think that's very critical. One issue that's not being talked about is wastewater. So right now, Lower Valley Water District does not have a wastewater treatment plant. We get most of our wastewater treatment, most of our wastewater goes into pumping stations. And so think about 8,500 people. That's 8 times the size of Clint. That this wastewater alone is not anything that we have thought about. And if we think about the impact to Socorro, Sanelli, Clint, that is a huge thing. So that's one thing that's getting left out of the conversation. I'm glad you're addressing the water. That is obviously critically important, but let's not forget the wastewater, which I also think if we don't handle wastewater correctly, that does impact not only our water, but our public health. So there's that element. And on the data centers, I mean, there's lots of consternation on what to do on data centers. And I think what we need first and foremost is some guidelines and some guardrails as an entire region. So even though we can say, well, it's gonna happen here in Socorro, well, what happens if it happens in Horizon? And then Montana Vista? How much water does our region have to really handle it? And so I think until we have a regional approach, a moratorium is only fair and responsible. So I just want to say I'm glad you're having these conversations. These are critical conversations that require strategic thinking, political leadership, and courage. And I just want you to know I'm here as your partner, your friend, your ally, and someone who's also critically involved in these issues. And I want to say thank you for addressing these important topics. And I'm here if you need me, and you know myself. Okay, love you, bye.
Thank you. You know, we're the second largest municipality in the county of El Paso, so I'm hoping that there's other elected officials that are watching this meeting tonight, and they're gonna follow in Socorro's footsteps, because we're the little dog in this big fight, but we appreciate y'all's support. Thank you, Representative Gonzalez. Thank y'all. Before we do continue, I do also want to recognize former State District Judge Ms. Linda Chu. Yes, thank you for joining us. And I also want to recognize former 8th Court of Appeals Chief Judge David Chu as well. We have so many celebrities in the house tonight, and we appreciate you all visiting Socorro. Thank you. Ms. Navarro, do we have any more speakers?
We have one more speaker, Mayor, Yvonne Diaz.
Ms. Diaz.
Ms. Diaz, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Yvonne Diaz, and I'm with the ACLU of Texas. I live 10 minutes away from the proposed detention center here in Socorro, and I'm here in support of the moratorium and to suspend the permits for large-scale facilities, as it will subtract from essential resources from our community and to prevent shortages for essential public facilities. This ordinance is not extreme. It is responsible. It is asking to pause and ensure that the residents of Socorro and surrounding areas are prioritized over any corporations that are incentivized by the Trump administration. It will be responsible to approve a project that not only endangers our natural resources, such as water, but also diminishes the human dignity of many people detained. It will create long-term damage that cannot be easily undone. at Camp East Montana, ACLU of Texas has documented beatings and abuses, people not having access to medical care or life-saving medications, and the deaths of 3 human beings. Water is essential to our daily lives, our health, and our future. This moratorium, although temporary, ensures that we protect this precious resource for our neighbors, for our farmers, for our small businesses, and for ourselves. This ordinance does not decide everything today, but it gives us time to study, to plan, and to listen to the people directly impacted. I urge you to support this moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, those were all our speakers.
Okay, thank you so much. Did you want to make that
At
motion?
this time, I would like to make a motion to move item 28.
Katie Padilla Stout for Congress, Democratic nominee.
Caller with the numbers ending 1169, can you go ahead and present yourself, please? Caller with the number ending in 1169, if you could go ahead and present yourself, please.
Oh, yes, I'm calling on behalf of Katie Padilla Stout for Congress. She's a Democratic nominee for Texas 23rd, and we've been trying to get in the phone line, so she might be behind me, but just to give her support that she does not want, she is anti the data center, detention center. She supports the people, and she was trying to get on, so we're having a little mix-up with the phone line, but thank you.
Okay, ma'am, and was this going to be for a specific line item?
I'm sorry, we can't hear you. It's like super muffled. We're trying to watch it online too.
Was this going to be for a specific line item?
11 through 14.
Thank you.
We'll take those comments.
We oppose data center, we oppose detention center.
Okay, we'll take those comments when the agenda items come up. Okay, if the caller's still on, we'll take their comments. Ms. Cordero?
At this time, I would like to move item number 28, 26, and 25 up, please.
All right, there's been a
Second.
motion. Second? There's been a motion and second to move the agenda items 28, 26, and 25 up on the agenda. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. At this time, we're going to go ahead and move into agenda item number 28. This is the discussion and action on approving the fiscal year ending September 30th of 2025, the annual financial report presented by SB&G Certified Public Accountants.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Victor Perez, Deputy City Manager. We are asking that you consider the approval of the annual financial report for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025, which has been prepared and will be presented by SB&G Certified Public Accountants. The report includes the financial statements of the governmental activities with each major fund of the City of Socorro, Texas, as of and for the year ending September 30th, 2025, along with the related notes to the financial statements, which collectively comprise the city's basic financial statements. At this time, I'll go ahead and turn it over to SB&G.
Thank you. We do have a presentation, and good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Abigail Telles. I am an audit manager at SB&G, and today I'm going to be going over the results of the financial audit for the city's fiscal year 2025. Where do we point? Oh. Okay, so quick overview of what we're gonna cover today. I'm gonna go over the audit highlights for 2025. I'm gonna go over a brief analysis of two of your major funds, which are the general fund and the capital improvements funds. And then I'm gonna go over the results of the actual financial statements, both fund basis and government-wide basis. Then I'm gonna move over to a 5-year trend analysis, and I'm gonna close with some audit recommendations. So first of all, I'm happy to report that the city is receiving an unmodified opinion for 2025. Now, what this means is that we didn't find any material misstatements. The financial statements are materially correct in all respects as far as accounting principles generally accepted in the United States. So congratulations on a clean audit. In addition to that, we also work on what we call a single audit. A single audit is an audit of the compliance requirements of your major funds or of your major federal funds. In this case, for 2025, we looked at your ARPA program and your Homeland Security Grants program. And again, happy to report we are reporting an unmodified opinion on those compliance requirements as well. Okay, now moving on to the numbers. This slide shows the general fund's budget to actual analysis, and this gives you a little bit of insight as to how the city compared actually to what was originally planned. So as we can see over here, we're looking at the revenues, and if you see, most of the categories have favorable variances, which is what we want to see most. Your property taxes are over, and from down under, everything looks good. Moving on to the expenditures, as well, we can see an overall favorable variance of 100,000. That unfavorable variance of 995,000 is it's due to presentation purposes over one expense that is the capital outlay expense, that for budget purposes is budgeted into each of the functions, but we, for financial statement purposes, have just one single line item. So what makes up that unfavorable variances, but overall we can see expenses were very well controlled throughout the year, so we don't see any big unfavorable variance overall. Over in this slide, we can see a three-year trend analysis for the general fund. As we can see here, it has kept a steady fund balance, average of 8.5 million throughout the last 3 years. What I do want to notice here is the expenditures, the trend in the expenditures. They show a big spike up from 2024 to 2025, and that's what gave rise to the net loss in 2025. And of course, that was budgeted for. This is the capital improvements trend analysis. The capital improvements fund keeps track of all of your major infrastructure projects, and it keeps all of the funds from your general obligations. So pretty much all of the monies from that funds are spent already, so that's why we see a 300 negative fund balance at the end of 2025. The recommendation we are providing as far as offsetting this negative fund balance is going up for issuance of new bond obligations, and I'm sure Tello, the shareholder, has already presented on those recommendations as well and talked to management. Here's an overview of the fund basis financial statements. These include all of the city's funds, and we can see that at the end of the fiscal year, assets ended up to 28.5 million, liabilities 12.4 million, and a fund balance of 16.1 million, which represents a healthy fund balance for the city. Here's a breakdown of all of the funds from the city. We can see that most of them ended up the year with negative fund balance or a net loss. And this shows how much the expenditures have grown in the past years. So we can see over here that trend amongst all of the city's funds. Now moving on to the statement of net position, this is related to the government-wide view, so it includes all of your long-term assets and liabilities. We saw a 4% increase in your assets. That includes a big increase on the infrastructure and equipment for the city, and a 9% decrease on the liabilities, which includes the payments on the outstanding bonds that the city currently has, and also a decrease in the deferred revenue related to the ARPA grants, because most of the grant was already spent in the previous year. Ended up with a net position of 50.58 million, which represents a 14% increase from last year, which is again a pretty good financial position. Here's a little bit of a breakdown for the net position statement. We can see the city ended up the year with close to 13 million of cash. 11 million is restricted cash, which is going to be used for your special revenue funds, Texas Water Development. Total investment of 6.8. This one did see a decrease from previous year because of all of the expenses from the ARPA program. Total infrastructure and equipment, 79 million. These are all of your road projects, building improvements, and equipment for the whole city. So it does represent a big balance of the total assets, but it's pretty common for a municipality. Total balance of the certificates of obligation at the end of the year represented 28.6 million. Moving on to the statement of activities, this statement shows the operating results of the fiscal year for the city. The city ended the year with revenues of 26.6 million and expenses of 19.4 million. So having more revenues than expenses, it gave, as a result, the city had a net income of 7.1. And just to note, capital outlay of 9 million, that's all of your investment in infrastructure and equipment for the fiscal year, and that is not counted as an expense on the government-wide financial statements. It's included in that 69 million balance on the infrastructure. Here's a breakdown of the revenues. We can see the first, second, and third largest sources of revenue. The first one being your property taxes, which make up to 55% of total revenue, followed by your federal and state grants, and then your sales taxes, which make up 10% of total revenues. Okay, now on the expenses side, we can see the largest expense for the city is the police department, and that has been the case pretty much every year, followed by the infrastructure department and the government administration expense. There was some interest expense related to the bonds, and also just to note, depreciation expense, it's not an actual cash flow, it's just keeping track of all of the wear and tear of the buildings and infrastructure, equipment, etc. So, I mean, nonetheless, it impacts the final number, so that's why we have it there. And for fiscal year 25, it was 2.3 million. Here's a 5-year analysis of how the city has been doing. We can see revenue for property taxes has been increasing slightly, and I actually don't have the expenses here, but I want to note that the property tax revenue has not been increasing at the same rate as the expenditures has been increasing. So that's why the city has had to pull from the investments, as we can see a big drop from 2024 to 2025 on the investments. Everything else has been looking pretty steady. We have grant revenue that has been slowly going down since 2023, and that's because of all of the, well, the ARPA funds that are coming to an end, but also we see the efforts from the grants department to going out and finding more grants. Infrastructure, as I mentioned before, we can see the big increases since 2021. And then long-term debt, well, we can see no debt has been issued since 2021, so we can see the balance very, very consistent over there. Wrapping up, we do, we did present a finding for 2025 related to internal controls over reporting. So as I mentioned, as part of the single audit, we looked at the reporting requirements for your Stone Garden grant, the award number ending in 7209. And what we found is that the city failed to submit timely reports for 4 out of 4 required performance reports, as well as quarterly financial statements reports. So the finding was already reported to management and discussed with them. They already prepared and provided a corrective action plan. So the recommendation from us is just to keep a centralized reporting system so that there are specific responsibilities assigned and that reports for these grants are submitted on time and properly reviewed and approved. The following are not findings, they are audit recommendations that we observed throughout the audit process. One of them being the timely response to grantors. So from time to time the city receives, or management receives, letters from grantors requiring a response. So it's very important that management responds to these communications on time in order to avoid any penalties, and specifically if the grantor is requesting a corrective action. Another one is the interfund balances. So what we saw during the past 2 years is that, well, the city keeps its funds, each fund has a bank account, right? So whenever a fund has to borrow money from another fund to make up some of the expenses, to cover some of the expenses, that fund needs to pay back the fund that lended the money. So we're seeing an increase in the interfunds payables and receivables, specifically within the general fund and the capital improvements funds. So our recommendation is just to make sure to pay those funds back to the original fund. ARPA reporting, this one had been a finding in previous year. Happy to say, well, this is not reported as a finding this year, it's just a recommendation. The grants department and the finance department have been doing a great job as to reconciling the ARPA expenses and reporting them. However, there are still some issues with the cutoff of some of the adjustments and the expenses. So just the recommendation is to keep a proper list of all of the open POs and keep good communication between the both departments so that big cutoff issues do not happen. The last one is just to increase the capitalization threshold. Right now, I believe the current limit it's set to 5,000. So keeping track of every asset is pretty, I mean, it's time and effort that needs to be consumed, and increasing the threshold will be better, and there won't be a need to keep track of all of the small assets that the city spends on. This concludes the presentation. Are there any questions on the report of the financial statements?
Do any members of council have any questions or comments on this presentation here? Mr. Reyes?
No, just what you said about already telling staff and they're They already have a corrective action plan. That was my only comment.
Comment?
Yeah, I'm glad that staff's already taking care of whatever issues that were found. The last thing we want is not to receive those funds.
Yeah, and for the most part, our staff's been doing a good job. That's the reason why we are one of the municipal governments that has one of the highest amounts or influx of grant funding, because if we don't pass these types of audits, we're not eligible to receive any of these grants. So my question, and my only question to you is, if you were to view the city of Socorro as a household and all of our residents were our children, would you say that we have a very good credit score and we can go buy that Cadillac that we want?
Well, I can only say what the report says, and we are providing the best opinion we can give. That's the highest level of assurance. So I'm sure that's good for if you are trying to present to your grantors and everything, they'll take it as good.
We're in good standing as a city, though. Thank you. All right, we appreciate the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. At this time, we're going to have to take action on this one here because we need to approve the financial report. So there was a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Okay, that motion carries. We're going to be taking on agenda item 26 at this time. And agenda item 26 is the discussion and action to ratify resolution number 841 dated March 5th of 2026, declaring March 2026 as El Paso Veterans and Riders Association Appreciation Month in the city of Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And I believe we have a resolution that we'd like to read today. Mr. Mon, is that okay with you? If we get that, all right.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Isabella Perez, and tonight I will be reading Resolution 841. Resolution 841, El Paso Veterans and Riders Association. Whereas the El Paso Veterans and Riders Association has formed a partnership with the City of Socorro, Texas, to assist both local veterans and the broader community. EPVRA President and Army veteran Daryl G. Mond, along with retired Marine Sergeant Major Fernando Lasso, have shown their ability to provide excellent support to Socorro. Whereas the El Paso Veterans and Riders Association, in response to the impact of the 2025 government shutdown on Socorro, partnered with municipal authorities and the Socorro Police Department to coordinate the collection and delivery of more than 1,200 bags and boxes containing food and essential supplies. Following transfer from EPVRA, distribution was efficiently administered by the Socorro Police Department. Whereas the El Paso Veterans and Riders Association and Mayor Rudy Cruz Jr. gathered and handed out gift cards to the Socorro School District students to enhance their Thanksgiving dinner with greater meaning and nutrition. Whereas the El Paso Veterans and Riders Association has consistently demonstrated and dedicated commitment to serving the Socorro community through its annual programs. Notably, EPVRA organized its 9th annual Veterans and Community Food Drive, reaffirming its tradition of assisting Socorro families facing hardship. This initiative provided food and essential supplies, thereby ensuring local families received meaningful support during difficult periods. Whereas the El Paso Veterans and Riders Association received an unexpected donation of toys from Group 1 Ford, El Paso, Texas, and distributed them on Christmas Eve through Dia de los Reyes that helped brighten our children's holidays to Socorro and the surrounding communities. Whereas now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor of Socorro, Texas, and the City Council do hereby proclaim the month of March 2026 as the El Paso Veterans and Riders Association Appreciation Month. In official pride and recognition thereof, the Socorro City Council proudly affixes their signature this 5th day of March 2026.
I didn't want to get in trouble again. We're very honored to receive this recognition. We really appreciate the support. We owe a big thank you to the Socorro Police Department. They were there from the get-go, storing the food for us, someone to break it down, get it ready for us. When we got on site, an hour before the event was supposed to kick off, we already had 92 cars in the parking lot. Chief came to me, he says, what do you want to do? I said, get out. In 20 minutes, we emptied the parking lot. Everybody got what they needed, and they were gone. That was a record time. And we did because you were out there, Chief. We appreciate you. I know that, you know, you think we don't, or we recognize, but you guys were right there for us the whole time. And we were very successful because of you. With great honor, I would like to introduce, well, I'd like her to introduce herself. She's the newest EPVR member, retired Navy, and a resident of Socorro. She'll be coordinating efforts between, Carlos isn't here, but she'll be coordinating efforts between the EPVR and the city of Socorro. So
Right.
we have boots on the ground here so she can keep us informed and everything like that.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
And everyone else. Happy to be here, happy to keep serving. My name is Lupe Garcia, long name Guadalupe. Call me Lupe. I'm here 5 minutes from here. I have the pleasure to keep serving. I did 26 years in the Navy. Happy to be back to my hometown and Socorro. You know, I walk the streets every night with my dog, my mom's dogs too. So I'm happy. I'm very blessed and honored to be here, serve this community, and with these two fine gentlemen, it's gonna be great. Thanks for the opportunity, and happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Welcome back. And
Maureen, you got something? You sure? Okay. You know, this is really awesome. We can get the Army, the Navy, and the Marines to stay together without getting in a bar fight. Excuse me. Can I say that?
well, that's because we're not in the bar.
I apologize if you're offended by it, but it is reality. And Mayor, thank you for helping us too. You're out there with us. You're all working. We threw it together at the last minute. We need exercises like that because the last time we did something like that was the COVID pandemic. So we were out of practice. It was very successful. It's been presented. It will go all the way up. It's been noticed all the way up to the National Guard headquarters in Washington, D.C., and what we did and what we accomplished out here. Because the last time we were out here was with the National Guard. This time we had the police force. So we're very grateful.
We appreciate you all for your service to our country, and also now as retired veterans, you guys are serving the great community of Socorro, and we truly appreciate that. It's not every day that we get to take a photograph with a good-looking gentleman like you, Mr. Mon. Would you grace us with your presence here in the front so that we can present you with this resolution on behalf of the City of Socorro's council and our community?
We would be honored, sir.
Awesome, great.
Chief, would you join us?
We're gonna go to 25 now. Okay, at this time, we're gonna go ahead and move into it.
Mayor,
I'm sorry.
Can you ask for the question, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, there was a motion and second on that item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? No, that motion carries. We're moving into agenda item 25. After this item, we're gonna go ahead and move back into our regular agenda so you all can follow through as I call the agenda items out. Agenda item 25, this is the discussion and action to approve an event permit for the Felipe de Jesus Catholic Church Via Crucis procession on April 3rd, 2026 from 12 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. and waive associated event permit fee.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Lorraine Quimito, City Planner. The item before you is an event permit and waiver request for a procession. It's the last item, it's item 25. procession for the San Felipe Catholic Church. This will be a traditional procession in celebration of Easter. The request is for an event permit and waiver of the event permit fee. In your backup is the agenda, is the map showing the procession route. And with that, staff can answer any questions.
Do any members of council have any questions for this item here?
No, sir.
This is a fee waiver for this event permit, correct?
Yes, fee waiver for the event permit and approval of the event, which is Via Crucis procession through the neighborhood to start at the church and end at the church.
Okay.
This will be for Friday, April the 3rd, from, I believe it's 12 p.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay. Any questions or comments from council? Mr. Reyes?
Real quick, the closing, are they gonna close the streets?
Yes.
Do they provide their own security? We provide them?
Good evening, Robert Rojas, Chief of Police for the City of Socorro. So they've contacted us and I provided an estimate, but I've also given them the option of contacting Constable Javier Garcia.
Okay.
And actually talked to Constable Garcia today, and he's going to be providing the escort to be able to ensure that everything is good to go on their part.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, we do have a speaker for this item.
Oh, okay.
Cecilia Jara.
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. My name is Cecilia Jara, and I'm just here representing San Felipe de Jesus Catholic Church. We're going to be having our Via Crucis on Friday, April the 3rd. So I'm just asking for permission that we can celebrate our Good Friday with the community, which we're going to be in the neighborhood and then the new neighborhood next to us. So thank you, Major, thank you, Chief, also for helping me, and Constable too. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. There's just one thing that I don't like about this item is that up until this point, we still haven't gotten an invitation to attend. No, I'm joking.
You all are invited.
I'm joking.
Of course, yeah. You actually said that you were going to go.
Yes, I did. I'm already committed. So, bueno.
And you're all invited. It is very important to gather all our community and get the new community as well. So yes, everybody is invited. I hope to see all of you at 12 p.m. April the 3rd.
Thank you.
At 12 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. As there are no more comments or discussion for this item, there's a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed or abstain? And that motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Where do we leave off? So we're moving on to consent agenda, right?
Yes.
Okay, we're moving on to consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve consent agenda?
Second.
There's been a motion and second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. We're now going to move into our regular agenda, and we're going to begin that with agenda item number 11. This is the public hearing of an ordinance adding Article 6, Permits, Division 1, Permit Guidelines, Section 6-137, temporary moratorium on property development to temporarily cease the acceptance, processing, and approval of certain development actions and permits for new construction to prevent shortages of essential public facilities, including infrastructure dependent on natural resources such as water or sewer systems, and establishing a citywide moratorium on large custodial facilities, including prisons, jails, and detention centers housing more than 100 persons. The penalty is provided in 6-137.5 of this section. It is now 6:53 p.m. and the public hearing is now open.
Mayor, we have several speakers.
Okay.
Our first speaker is Samantha Singleton.
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members. My name is Samantha Singleton, and I serve as the Policy Director for the Border Network for Human Rights. And I'm here today to express my strong support for this ordinance and to urge you to continue strengthening it in the best interest of the community. I definitely want to say that I appreciate the City of Socorro's efforts to preserve its identity as being a tight-knit community, rich in history and strong in solidarity. That identity is definitely worth protecting. I also want to emphasize the importance of requiring conditional use permits and thorough environmental review for large-scale facilities, especially those that are deemed essential services like water, sewage, waste collection, and disposal. These are not small considerations. They directly impact the daily lives of residents and the long-term sustainability of the city. This region is already struggling with water scarcity, so this is not a future problem. It is a present reality. Protecting this resource must come first. Any project that places additional strain on the community's limited water supply should face the highest level of scrutiny. Facilities like these don't just occupy space, they divert critical resources. Water, electricity, and even access to health services are redirected away from local residents. And beyond those visible impacts, there are hidden costs, increased strain of policing, local hospitals, infrastructure maintenance, and emergency services. And so these are long-term financial burdens that fall not on the developers, but the taxpayers. And this ordinance is a great step forward. But I do encourage you to continue researching and accounting for any hidden costs that may affect the community, whether it's a decrease in property value. And this is something that is unfair to members of the community of Socorro because they truly invested their lives in this community. And so I support regulating large facilities in Socorro, and I also support creating oversight for projects that are not community serving and do not generate long-term local benefits. At the end of the day, local tax dollars should support local priorities, schools, infrastructure, and healthcare systems. They should not subsidize federal projects that do not serve the residents. So I urge you to just continue to stand firm, strengthen this ordinance, and continue putting the needs of the Socorro community first. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Singleton, for your comments.
Diana Martinez. She's left the meeting.
Ms. Martinez, okay, if she jumps back in during public comment, we'll go ahead and we'll tie her in.
Stephanie Acosta.
Hi, Mayor and City Council. My name is Stephanie, and I'm here in support of item 11 and 12 of the temporary moratorium. This was in the hallway as we walked into City Hall today and has stayed with me since I first saw it. There's no doubt you've all have seen this, but I'd like to read this for the record. The Pueblo Revolt. The revolt of 1680 was a pivotal moment in Socorro's history. The successful uprising allowed us to reclaim our land and culture. Socorro became a place where people from different backgrounds supported one another, fostering a sense of belonging. The legacy of the Pueblo Revolt reminds everyone of the power of collective action and the importance of preserving cultural heritage. I'd like to thank you, Socorro City Council, Mayor, staff, and residents for your leadership and collective action on this moratorium. Our shared community must come first and ensure that essential public utilities and basic needs such as water, infrastructure, and public safety are stable, equitable, and able to support residents before taking on additional strains. This pause is an opportunity to prioritize thoughtful planning and protect the long-term community.
Diana Martinez.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Should I keep going?
Yes.
Okay. I'd just like to close out by saying thank you, Mayor Cruz, City Council, for your courage on this effort. History has its eye on all of us, and I hope that in the next 300 years, those that come after us walking into this City Hall read about this pivotal moment in history and your leadership on this moratorium. Thank you for your courage.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Lynn Coyley.
I didn't catch that last name. What was it?
The last name is Coyle, but thank you. I know it's a weird last name.
No, it's not weird. Mine's weird up north, so.
So, well, good evening, Mayor, City Council, staff, community members. So I'm here as well to speak on item 11 and also item 13. I am a retired civil rights lawyer, semi-retired. A few weeks ago, we were here speaking at really one of the most remarkable meetings I've ever got to participate in. I thought it was just an incredible show of intelligence, passion, knowledge, really on the part of the community, and with the tremendous respect that you all showed. And here we are. You all listened, you thought about this, and we wouldn't be here without that incredible attention and having this moratorium now in the process. And so I'm fully in support of the moratorium on the large custodial facilities, as well as the ordinance to take a hard look at the data centers. Both of these types of developments, as you all know, and as your legislation shows, will not benefit the residents of Socorro. They will harm the quality of life here, and they will deplete our precious resources that I think you're all showing to be very good stewards of. So, you know, we had our state rep, Mary Gonzalez. You can't get a better state rep. We've had PSB, Lower Valley Water District, ESD number 2, El Paso County, the city of El Paso. They've all shown great leadership on this, but tonight it is Socorro's moment to shine, to lead the way with courage, and we fully support your efforts. We know that this is just the first step, and we're not going away. It's not a one and done. We recognize the moratorium is temporary. There may be challenges in executing that and carrying it out, and you're gonna maybe continue to need our support. And so like Representative Gonzalez said, we got your back. We're not going away, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yvonne Diaz.
Okay.
Marisa Limón Garza.
Buenas noches. Good evening, everybody.
Good
Mayor and
evening.
Council, grateful to be here with you all. Stand with my colleagues in awe and admiration of the courage that you've taken. I'm sure that you're hearing from your community members, whether it's in the pews or in the grocery store or at the pickup for the kiddos, and so I know that it's a big step. I work as the director of a legal services organization, and I just want to paint a little bit of a picture. My colleagues are all right on the use of water, but also all the other additional, human costs that are associated with the house mayor that you were talking about. You got to pay for the water, you got to pay for the electric, you got to pay for all of the things, right? And so those definitely have an impact. When I looked at some of our call data as it refers to people wanting information about loved ones in detention, the age that we're talking about is as young as 19 years old and as old as 67. So this is not a universe of a small population of people, maybe however we would define a traditional suspect as you might think, but these are just regular folks who are in our community, who are beloved, who have dignity, who have rights that are being roughshotted over left and right. And so I just want to remind us of that as we make these really challenging decisions. I am impressed by all of what you've been able to pull together with the moratorium and the other actions. We're up against a big fight, definitely, and every step matters, every day matters. And so just thank you again for your leadership, your courage, and we stand here committed to stand with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Connie Crawford. Yolanda Aguirre. She left the meeting. And Diana Martinez.
Is Ms. Martinez still on online? Let's get Ms. Martinez.
Hello, how
Hello.
are you, everyone? Thank you. I'm very appreciative for being able to speak here today. I'm very much against the data center and the detention center. We need to make both of them stop. They are not separate issues. Both of those two issues go hand in hand. The surveillance information and data is going to be supported by that data center to report migrants and to report people who advocate on behalf of marginalized communities. And so that data center is part of that support the infrastructure system to make money off of migrants. The detention center obviously is going to make money off of migrants. And it is not the community that is going to benefit from this economically at all. It is going to be a very few handful of small and corrupt people, uber rich people. And so this will not economically benefit our community. We cannot drink our money, and the jobs that are going to be there are going to be the type of jobs that are going to make people sign NDA agreements telling them that they cannot report the horrible things that they see, because we already know that horrible things have been happening at the East Montana concentration camp, and a terrible death there, and abuse, and so people should not have to work at a place where they cannot report things that absolutely need to be reported. So I'm completely against the data center, and I'm completely against the detention center. Those things need to be stopped. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
And
Martinez.
that is all I have for today. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Those were all our speakers, Mayor.
Okay, just want to make sure, are there any other speakers online waiting? Okay, all right. So that was the end of public hearing
The public hearing.
for
Yes.
item number 11.
There is.
It's 7:06 p.m. and we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. We're moving into agenda item number 12. This is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance adding Article 6 permits Division 1 to temporarily cease the acceptance, processing, and approval of certain development actions and permits for the new construction to prevent shortages of essential public facilities, including infrastructure dependent on natural resources such as water or sewer systems, and establishing a citywide moratorium on large custodial facilities, including prisons, jails, and detention centers housing more than 100 persons. The penalty is provided in 6-137.5 of this section.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. I'm Victor Perez, Deputy City Manager. City staff was directed by Council on February 11th to develop methods such as an ordinance preventing the development of large custodial facilities, such as you described just now. And so we are here to answer any questions that you might have on the particulars of the ordinance.
Do any members of council have any questions or would like to discuss further on this item? No? Okay. I believe there was a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Perez. The next item here is agenda item number 13. This is the public hearing of an ordinance amending the City of Socorro zoning ordinance to establish regulations governing data centers, providing purpose and findings, adding definitions, limiting locations, requiring specific use permits, establishing water infrastructure, and operational standards, providing for enforcement, severability, and an effective date. It's now 7:08 p.m. and public hearing is now open.
Mayor, we have several speakers. Our first speaker is Veronica Carvajal.
Mayor and Council, thank you for placing this ordinance up for public hearing. I'm Veronica Carvajal. I am an organizer with Sembrando Esperanza Coalition. We're your neighbors a little bit west from here. Our neighborhoods are from La Calavera to Ramona Stiles Garden, and then Montana Vista and the Rio Grande Neighborhood Association. And our members brought the data centers to our attention primarily for two reasons: the water consumption and the impact on utility bills, including water, gas, and electricity. In fact, President Trump announced earlier this month the Ratepayer Protection Pledge, which was signed by Meta and other major data center companies, in which they agreed to pay for all of the infrastructure costs for energy, but not water. And also, this pledge is not binding. And what we have found through the research that we've done, not just locally, but at the state and national level, is that these companies really are intent on not putting anything in writing, and when they do, making sure that it is not legally binding. So this ordinance that you have crafted is extremely important, and we congratulate you for using your local power to really limit the proliferation of these data centers in our desert. That said, there are some concerns in terms of potential omissions that may be detrimental to the community. One of them is in section 1I, which is estimated daily and annual water demand. We would ask that you consider including the words related to on-site operation as well as off-site power generation. So if they're not going to use renewable energy, you will see that either El Paso Electric, whatever energy provider, we're assuming that's going to be the energy provider, will be consuming water through the natural gas powered power plants. Although there are new technologies which we're looking into for the Meta McLeod facility, but that is not a guarantee. The other issue under the same section would be our proposed 3, which would be to look into the impact on utility rates to again ensure that the facilities pay for all of those expenses, and then to add 4, which would be air pollution. Now, under section F1, you are allowing for the use of water so long as it is 100% reclaimed or non-potable. And I will, as you might know, El Paso Water is investing millions of dollars into the pure water system, which I refer to as the poop water system, only because it will transform sewage water into drinkable, potable water. And so at this point, we can no longer say that reclaimed water is disposable. All of it is valuable. Every single drop is precious, and we must do everything to ensure that this industry is pushed to not use water and to not use fossil fuels. And later on, under section G1, you have approval of a data center shall not obligate the city to, and then you talk about infrastructure expenses. I would offer that you say you will not pay for, because if you're not obligated to, it still means that you have the discretion to pay for those infrastructure. And if council changes, if momentum changes, then the community would be burdened by those utility rate increases. And we really appreciate the noise provisions. I mean, you've given this a lot of thought, and we really appreciate this and hope that the other municipalities, including our own, the city of El Paso, will adopt something similarly. As you know, they're still working on the best practices guide, and we're asking them to avoid all of the contracts with Meta. So thank you so much for your time and for your attention to this, because we don't want to push our problems onto you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Saúl González.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
The public. My name is Saúl González, and I'm also an organizer with Sembrando Esperanza. I graduated from Socorro Middle and Socorro High School. I remember walking the cotton fields to go to Socorro Middle, walking through the canals and seeing the water. Now I live pretty close to a refinery, so I really miss the water, walking to the canals. But you know who else miss the water? the people that get the irrigation, that have irrigation water rights. They used to get 10 water days, now they get 4. For years, we have been conserving a lot of water, and for who? Is it for data centers, or is it for us, for our future? So I'm really impressed with this ordinance that you are putting. Thank you to all the staff, to all of you. As my colleague mentioned, there's some changes that we like to see. But like my grandma used to say, echando a perder se aprende. Unfortunately, the city and our county of El Paso approved a data center in 2023 that without looking into all of these details. So I'm really happy and I'm proud of the city of Socorro that before approving a data center or even considering, you guys are taking this seriously. So I really appreciate everyone that put this together, because what affects one city affects all of us. So if you have more questions about data centers, Sembrando Esperanza is here to support. And I ask if you can influence the city of El Paso and the county to avoid those contracts with MENA. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Joe Molina.
Good evening, the Honorable Mayor Cruz, the members of this esteemed council, leadership for the city of Socorro. My name is Joe Molinar. I am not a resident of Socorro. I do reside in the city of El Paso, District 4. At one time, I did serve my community as a city representative. So I'm against the data centers. However, in full disclosure and full transparency, I was 1/8, or at least one part, that voted for the data center, call it the Meta Data Center in District 4, located in far northeast near Chaparral, New Mexico. However, there's 3 things that I'd like to talk about. Number 1 is the water. We live in a desert region, desert area where water is precious. It's absolutely sustainable for life, our way of life, and it's not good that they're going to be taking so much water. And I'm not just talking about Meta, but if anything else comes here to the city of Socorro, guess what? They're going to be taking your water. January this year, in Northeast El Paso, we had a huge pipe burst, and I was affected by that. Couldn't take a shower for 3 days. But anyways, and parts of the city, other parts of the city of El Paso have had multiple infrastructure collapses of pipes, aging infrastructure. So that's one thing. You will need to have water. Water is life. And it's not just for the city of El Paso, it's for the city of Socorro and all of us here in West Texas. Number 2, the electrical power sources. Where is that going to come from? When I was on city council, we were disclosed on 3 different things. Number 1 was going to be Newman 6 power plant that's out there on Stan Roberts Road, which is a huge, fairly new generator of electrical power. Number 2 was going to be the Buena Vista Power solar farm that's located right next door in Chaparral, New Mexico. In addition, they have Meta bought the 1,000 plus acres of land in order to build a solar farm. So now, just recently, I discovered that they're going to want to get a gas-generated electrical. So now, instead of 3, you're going to have 4. And what's next, 5? How many sources of electrical power do these people need? It's unbearable. It's just unthinkable. I would dislike for you, the citizens of El Socorro, to put that stress upon you on your daily life. And number 3, the pollution part of it, the noise pollution. This is going to be operating 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Who is going to handle all that? Yeah, you're going to have a few employees that could work remotely. They don't even have to go to the job site. They don't even have to be from this area, but they're being paid and compensated well. But are they putting up with the noise? Are they putting up with the lack of water resources? Are they putting up with the high utility bills for electrical? No, they're not. So I do not support data centers anymore. Thank you very much, and I appreciate this opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mayor, those were all our speakers.
Thank you, Ms. Navarro. It's now 7:18 p.m., and we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing for this item. Thank you all. Agenda item number 14. This is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance amending the City of Socorro zoning ordinance to establish regulations governing data centers, providing purpose and findings, adding definitions, limiting locations, requiring specific use permits, establishing water infrastructure and operational standards, providing for enforcement, severability, and an effective date.
I'd like to make a motion to approve. I'll also add an amendment to look into the provisions that Ms. Carvajal talked about, if that's possible.
Second. I think we need to be more specific in the motion about what additional provisions are asking.
I couldn't get all of them, but
So-
I would like them to be looked into. You know, I don't have them, wrote them all about, you know, section 1, the air pollution, the infrastructure, the noise provisions, the off-site on the contract, if that's possible.
I mean, the answer is, it is possible, but we'd have to be very detailed.
Mr. Martinez, can I ask a question really quick before we move forward and we present the item? If it's the desire of the table tonight to adopt this ordinance, we can always come back and make additions under legal review. I think Ms. Quimito, our city planner, has taken notes and listened to the public comments being made. I'd like for our staff to also research and formalize and solidify the recommendations through public comment, but also be looked at by our legal team before actually adopting such item. Does that make sense?
It's frustrating when you're right.
Yes, okay.
The short answer is yes.
Okay.
And to answer the other question, Mr. Garcia's question, yes, it's possible. But as I always do when there's our proposed floor amendment to an ordinance that has already been published and introduced once, if we're going to have floor amendments, we almost always want precise text and almost a red line version, like a scratch through and a red line version. If it's more general ideas, I would say that's probably better saved for an amendment, a separate amendment to the ordinance that is drafted and developed by your staff and brought forward, reviewed by legal, and then brought forward at a later date.
Can we do that?
We certainly can, but then if it's council's wish to do that in a separate procedure later, I would recommend amending the motion to simply approving this item.
Okay, so I'll amend my motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, so there's, yeah.
And
Go
if I
ahead.
may, Mr. Mayor and Council, I'd like to offer Ms. Carvajal my card. That way she can email the suggested text, and then we'll take the appropriate steps to get it reviewed.
Thank you, Mr. Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Perez.
Mayor and Council, again, you have before you a proposed ordinance to be possibly adopted. This ordinance intends to recognize data centers as a distinct land use. Number 2, ensure protection of the city's limited water and infrastructure resources. 3, require enhanced public review and city council oversight. Prevent approval of uses that exceed the city's infrastructure capacity, and preserve the city's discretion to deny or condition development where impacts cannot be adequately mitigated. And so with that, if you have any questions regarding the proposed ordinance, staff can answer questions.
Do any members of council want to discuss further on this item here? No? Very well. I believe there was a motion and second on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I just want to let the speakers that are here with us today know that our meeting's about to get really, really boring. We appreciate your support and your comments. And if y'all want to stick around, you're more than happy to. If not, go visit Wine Down or the Dusty Tap. They're open, and we got the coldest beer in town. Thank you.
I must add that Ms. Quimito, as a presenter, is scintillating. the content of the
Not her.
presentation may not.
No. We have
Number
quorum?
15.
Yeah, we have quorum? Okay. We'll present item 15. This is the public hearing of an ordinance approving a request for a preliminary plat for the Ohanas being a portion of tract 1X. Is that 1X? Yeah. Now known as tract 1X1, Lake Clark Survey number 293, and a portion of lot 17, block 6, Cielo del Rio, unit 2, amending plat in addition to the city of Socorro, El Paso County, Texas. It's 7:24 p.m. Public hearing is now open.
No speakers, Mayor.
As there are no speakers, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:24 p.m. as well. Thank you. Agenda item 16, this is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving a request for a preliminary plat for the Ohanas being a portion of tract 1X, now known as tract 1X1, Lake Clark Survey number 293, and a portion of lot 17, block 6, Cielo del Rio, unit 2, amending plat, in addition to the city of Socorro, El Paso County, Texas.
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you, Mayor and Council Lorraine Quimito, City Planner. Some quick details regarding the Ohanas subdivision. The property is located on Stockyard Drive and Cielo Blanco Drive. The property owner is Thang John Win. Their representative is Alfonso D. Perez with ADP Engineering. The property is 1.5 acres in size and currently zoned R3 high-density residential. The property is vacant, and in summary, the request is to approve a preliminary plat for the Ohanas. Staff recommends approval, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted for approval of the request. 4 yeses, noes, and 0 abstentions. They voted as such at their March 3rd meeting. The next slide shows the subdivisions surrounding the Ohanas subdivision, and the property zoning is R3, and it is surrounded by R3 zoning, high-density residential zoning. The aerial photograph shows the vacant land and the surrounding homes, single-family residential lots, and you can also see some ponding sites. These are photographs taken from Cielo Drive and Stockyard Drive showing the vacant property. And the preliminary plat for the Ohanas, containing 8 lots, 8 residential lots. The cul-de-sac additional right-of-way is being provided through this plat for Stockyard Drive, and the lots are between 5,311 square feet and almost 7,000 square feet. In summary, the request is for approval of a preliminary plat for the Ohanas subdivision. With that, staff can answer any questions.
Any members of council have any questions or comments on this item?
No, sir.
No? Okay. That was a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? That motion carries. We're moving into agenda item 17. This is the public hearing of an ordinance for the proposed La Jolla subdivision replat K, being a replat of lot 14, block 4 in La Jolla subdivision and located at 100 Escalante Drive, Socorro, Texas. It's 7:27 p.m. Public hearing is now open.
No speakers, Mayor.
As there are no speakers, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:20. 28. Agenda item number 18, this is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving the proposed La Jolla subdivision replat K, being a replat of lot 14, block 4, La Jolla. Am I pronouncing that right? La Jolla or La Jolla?
Joya.
All right, La Jolla subdivision and located at 100 Escalante Drive, Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And item number 18, the La Jolla Subdivision Replat K. Some general information regarding the property. This property is located at 100 Escalante Drive, and the property owner is Rosa Peralta. Their representative is Calderon Engineering. The lot is 21,601 square feet. It is zoned R1, and the current land use is residential. In summary, the request is for approval of a replat for La Jolla subdivision, replat K, and staff recommends approval of the replat. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted for approval at their March 3rd meeting unanimously with 4 members present. This is a zoning map showing the single-family residential zoning for the property and the surrounding properties. The aerial photograph shows the location of the existing single-family home and the surrounding residential lots. These are photographs taken of the property. The top photograph was taken from La Ciénaga Drive, and the bottom photograph was taken from Escalante Drive. This is the original plat for the La Jolla subdivision. This was platted in 1986. It had originally 119 lots. Of those 119 lots, there are still currently 8 vacant lots on this property, in this subdivision. The next slide shows the replat, showing the division of the 1 lot into 2. The second sheet of the replat shows the, I'm sorry, those were out of order. This is the replat, and the second sheet shows the location of the first home, the ponding, and the ponding for the second home. And the location of the future home on the second lot. Both lots still are 10,000 square feet, which is a minimum for a single-family R1 zoning district. With that, staff can answer any questions.
Got a quick question. Are they building another home, or they already have a?
There's 1 home there,
And they're building
going
the
to
second
split the
one.
lot and build a second home.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this one here?
No, sir.
No? There was a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? And that motion carries. The next item is agenda item number 19. This is the public hearing of an ordinance approving the proposed request for approval of a replat for Trujillo Subdivision Unit 2 Replat B, being a replat of Lot 1B, Block 1, Trujillo Subdivision Unit 2 Replat A, located at 10330 Socorro Road, Socorro, Texas, to allow for duplexes. It's 7:31 p.m. and public hearing is now open.
No speakers, Mayor.
Okay, as there are no speakers, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:31 p.m. as well. Agenda item number 20, this is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance for the proposed request for approval of a replat for Trujillo Subdivision Unit 2, Replat B, being a replat of Lot 1B, Block 1, Trujillo Subdivision Unit 2, Replat A, located at 10330 Socorro Road, Socorro, Texas, to allow for duplexes.
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 20 is a replat. The legal description of this property is all of Lot 1B, Block 1 of the Trujillo Subdivision Unit 2, Replat A. The property is 10330 Socorro Road. The owner is Alejandro Portillo from Ava Developments LLC. Their representative is Dorado Engineering Group. Mr. Dorado, the representative, is present to answer any questions that you might have. The property is just a little over 2.3 acres in size. It is currently vacant and zoned R2 medium density residential. In summary, the request is for approval of a replat. This replat is of Trujillo Subdivision Unit 2, Replat B, to allow for duplexes. Staff recommends approval of the request, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted for approval at their February 17th meeting with 4 members present, all voting unanimously to approve the request. The zoning map shows the R2 zoning district for the subject property, and it is surrounded by a mix of zonings. the R3, R1 in yellow, agricultural, and a C1 just to the south. The aerial image shows the vacant lot, adjacent vacant commercial lot, and surrounding mix of residential single-family and more rural single-family homes. These are photographs taken from Mackenzie Ann Place. The top picture, the bottom picture was taken from the end of Carter Scott Place. This is the original replat A of Trujillo Unit 2. And this is the proposed replat with 11 lots. The plat also dedicates additional right-of-way for QPEC Drive. In summary, the request is for approval of a replat for Trujillo Subdivision Unit 2, replat B, to allow for duplexes. And with that, staff can answer any questions, and as mentioned before, the representative is in attendance to answer any questions that you might have as well.
Any questions or comments or concerns for this item here? Mr. Reyes?
For the right-of-way, they're giving a piece of the land?
Additional right-of-way? Yes. So currently, we have an undeveloped road at the edge between this subdivision and the subdivision just underneath, and an additional strip of right-of-way that was a part of the original Socorro grant. So this is an additional 17, a little over 17 feet. That's pretty much the area outlined in gray that will be used to construct QPEC Road. And if this sounds familiar, Planning and Zoning presented a development agreement where the city and it was going to allow for certain changes to the replat in order for the developer to build the entire street.
Okay, so the owner would be responsible of building the street?
Yes.
Okay, that was the question. Thank you.
That shaded part there on Socorro Road, what was that again?
QPEC? QPEC Road?
Oh, like a deceleration?
No.
Oh.
It's right there in gray is the additional right-of-way for the new road that is to be built.
Oh, that's not off Socorro Road, right?
It is off Socorro.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
It is off. Socorro Road is to the right.
This is Socorro Road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now
Yes,
I see it.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you remember, if you look back to the photographs of the site, they were taken from the end of the subdivision where these streets, Mackenzie Ann and Carter Scott Place, are blocked off by those barriers.
They're now going to be opened up,
Yes.
and there'll be connectivity now there. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, a lot of those residents that live there, they complain about the ATVs and off-road vehicles going in there, so that won't be happening. Hopefully.
Not as much anymore.
Hopefully. All right. Well, there was any more questions or comments on this item? No. There was a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 21. This is the public hearing of an ordinance for the proposed Bowman Estates Unit 2 replat, and being a replat of Lot 10, Block 8, Bowman Estates Unit 2, and located at 11301 Sheffield Drive, Socorro, Texas, at 7:37 p.m. and the public hearing is now open.
No speakers, Mayor.
As there are no speakers, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:37 p.m. as well. Agenda item 22. This is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance for the proposed Bowman Estates Unit 2 replat, and being a replat of Lot 10, Block 8, Bowman Estates Unit 2, and located at 11301 Sheffield Drive, Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 22, Bowman Estates Unit 2 replat N. This is a replat request for a replat of Lot 10, Block 8 of Bowman Estates Unit 2, located at 11301 Sheffield Drive. The property owner is Golden Homes, J&L LLC. Their representative is Enrique Ayala with CAD Consulting Company. The property is just over 21,000 square feet in size and zoned R1 single-family residential. It is currently a residential. In summary, the request is to approve a replat to create 2 residential lots from 1 lot, and staff recommends approval of the request. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted for approval at their March 3rd meeting, voting 4 yes, 0 no, and 0 abstentions. Next slide is the zoning map showing the R1 single-family residential zoning for the property and the surrounding properties. The aerial photograph shows the vacant lot. I'm sorry, the residential lot and the surrounding residential lots. These are photographs taken from Wellman Drive and Sheffield Drive. And the original Bowman Estates Unit 2 plat. The next slide is the replat showing the 2 lots, both being within the 10,000 square foot minimum for R1 residential zoning. And in summary, the request is for an approval of a replat for La Jolla, no, sorry, this is incorrect, for Bowman. For the Bowman Estates Unit 2 replat N, being a replat of lot 10, block 8 of Bowman Estates Unit 2. And with that, staff can answer any questions.
Any questions or comments on this item?
No, sir.
No, there was a motion and second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? That motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Quimito. We're going to be moving on to the Grants Department with agenda item 23. This is the discussion and action to adopt a drug and alcohol testing policy and program in compliance with the Federal Transit Administration's FTA requirements.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Alejandra Valadez, City Development Director. Sometimes silly. We are here to request your approval to adopt the proposed drug and alcohol testing policy that you have in your backup. This policy was developed to ensure that we are compliant with Federal Transit Administration requirements for all agencies that provide public transportation to members of the public. Some of the required items include instructions on when to test employees, how often, based on a list of behaviors that are seen by the supervisors, some required training that the supervisors also have to take in order to determine if there is a behavior that would require an employee to be tested. There's some responsibilities for HR, for supervisors, and for the employees themselves. So there's a lot in there that is required of us and is included in this policy. I can answer any question if you all have any questions at this time.
Any questions or comments for this item?
No, sir.
No? So our drivers can no longer drive under the influence after we adopt this?
Unfortunately, no, yes.
Okay.
And
All
this
right.
policy will ensure that does not
Okay.
happen.
Very well. There was a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? That motion carries. The next item is 24, the discussion and action to adopt the City of Socorro Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan in accordance with 49 CFR Part 673 and designate the city manager as the accountable executive under this plan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Again, we're continuing with our list of policies that we need to adopt in order to get us ready to become a direct recipient of Federal Transit Administration funds. A public transportation agency safety plan is required of all agencies that provide public transportation, regardless of how big that entity is or how small it is. So even though we do have a small microtransit service, we have to make sure that we have a transportation safety plan. The safety plan requires the inclusion of annual safety performance targets based on national public transportation safety plan guidelines. It requires for us to have a process to document our safety management system. It requires for us to describe how we're going to cooperate with our frontline transit workers. In this case, it would be our transit drivers, to put this safety plan together and to establish a process for annual review and updates to ensure that we're meeting those safety targets. Some of those safety targets include things like number of vehicle collisions with pedestrians. So our safety target is going to be 0, right, for the year. So those are examples of the kind of things that we're trying to avoid and then track over time to make sure that we're putting out a safe service for our residents.
Any questions for Ms. Valadez?
No, sir.
I have just one question. I know that maybe we're not there yet. Our transit program is fairly new. Some of the units that the city and county they've installed some type of a simple software that tracks speed or I guess unsafe action by the driver, and then there's a report that the administrator can download and they can track the driver. Are we looking into installing something similar?
Yes, we actually do have a transit software already installed in our vehicles. It tracks participants, miles. Does it track speed, Ms. Bella? It does also. And our transit coordinator does put together monthly reports to the supervisor on all kinds of metrics.
Okay.
We are also doing a lot of the things that are already in the plan, like a pre-trip check of the vehicle.
Pre and
We're already
post
doing that.
checks, yeah, safety
But
checks.
this documents everything that we are already doing and adds additional safety components.
Good, thanks. Okay.
Mayor, also, if I can add, as part of information, the city does have the Michelin Connected Fleet, which is the exact software that you're talking about, that tracks speed and possibly unsafe behaviors while driving, and is reported back to the city.
Okay, awesome, thanks. Any questions or comments for this item? No?
Thank you.
There was a motion and second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that motion carries as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
We already took action on items 25 and 26, so we're going to move to 27. And all this is the discussion and action to ratify the resolution number 842 dated March 5th, 2026, recognizing Charles Hassoun of Group 1, Ford, El Paso, Texas, for supporting the El Paso Veterans and Riders Association community initiatives.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Isabella Perez, reading Resolution 842. El Paso Veteran and Riders Association. Whereas Charles Hassoun, Group 1, Fort El Paso, Texas. Whereas the El Paso Veterans and Riders Association, in response to the consequences of the 2025 government shutdown affecting Socorro, collaborated with city officials and the Socorro Police Department to organize and deliver more than 1,000 bags and boxes containing food and essential supplies. Upon receipt from the EPVRA, the Socorro Police Department administered the distribution efficiently. Whereas the El Paso Veterans and Riders Association and Mayor Rudy Cruz Jr. gathered and handed out gift cards to the Socorro School District to enhance their Thanksgiving dinner with greater meaning and nutrition. Whereas the El Paso Veterans and Riders Association has demonstrated its ongoing commitment to serving the Socorro community through its annual initiatives. In particular, EPVRA conducted its 9th annual Veterans and Community Food Drive, continuing its tradition of supporting Socorro families in need. Through this effort, EPVRA provided food and other essential items, ensuring that local families received valuable assistance and support during challenging times. Whereas the El Paso Veterans and Riders Association received an unexpected donation of toys and distributed them on Christmas Eve through Dia de los Reyes that helped brighten our children's holidays to Socorro and the surrounding communities. Whereas now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor of Socorro, Texas, and City Council do hereby proclaim the month of March 2026 as the El Paso Veterans and Riders Association Appreciation Month. In official pride and recognition thereof, the Socorro City Council proudly affixes their signatures this 5th day of March 2026.
Thank you. There was a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? That motion carries. Agenda item number 29, this is the discussion and action on an agreement between the City of Socorro and the Socorro, Texas veterans to support funding and improvements at Cougar Park.
Motion to approve. Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Victor Perez, Deputy City Manager. The City of Socorro owns and maintains Cougar Park, which is in the location of the Socorro Veterans Memorial. The memorial serves as a community space honoring the service and sacrifice of military veterans. The Socorro, Texas Veterans, a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting and honoring veterans, has expressed interest in assisting the city with efforts to enhance and beautify the Veterans Memorial area and surrounding portions of Cougar Park. The proposed cooperative agreement establishes a partnership between the city and the organization that allows the nonprofit to seek grants, donations, sponsorships, and other funding sources for park improvements. Potential projects may include improvements such as walking paths, lighting, restroom renovations, landscaping, memorial enhancements, and other public improvements that benefit the park and the community. Since Cougar Park is owned and maintained by the City of Socorro, the agreement provides a framework to ensure that any project funded through the organization is coordinated with the city and meets applicable municipal standards. And with that, if you have any questions.
You know, I was a little unsure of the item, and once I asked questions, I think it's the Socorro veterans now have this nonprofit, and they look to seek in the future some grant opportunities that could potentially invest in the upkeeping of Cougar Park.
Yes, sir. And then also in conversations with the veterans group, the intent is to beautify Cougar Park, which has a double effect of attracting more people to the memorial, and then also people coming in possibly from out of town, enjoying the park, and then also maybe spending their money in Socorro, or just enjoying Socorro.
Yeah, just tourism.
Yes,
in general. I think it's long overdue. Any questions or comments for this item?
No, sir.
No? All right, there was a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you. The next items here, I'd like to take them all together in one vote, only because they're support letters that were signed days before, just because they were time sensitive and I had to put ink to paper. But again, you all can stop and discuss any of those items. I'm going to read through them all, and all we're going to do is ratify those here today, and I'd like to take it all in one vote. So I'll start off by reading agenda item number 30. This is the discussion and action to ratify the letter of support submitted to Congressman Tony Gonzalez for the El Paso County Sheriff's Office Community Project Funding Request for the Special Operations Package. Agenda item 31 is the discussion and action to ratify a letter of support submitted to Congressman Tony Gonzalez for the City of San Elizario fiscal year 2027 Community Project Funding Request for a Regional Public Health and Animal Control Facility. Agenda item number 32, the discussion and action to ratify a letter of support for Isleta del Sur Pueblos fiscal year 2027 federal appropriations request for a new housing initiative in District 2, Socorro, Texas. Agenda item number 33, this is the discussion and action to ratify letters of support for the Town of Horizon fiscal year 2027 Congressional Community Project Funding Request for the construction of a government complex.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and second to approve. If you all want to discuss any of these letters of support, we're more than happy to do so at this time. If not, there was a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? That motion carries. Do we have any items posted for 34 or 35 or 36?
Yes, sir.
No?
Motion to delete items 34 to 36.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to delete items 34, 35, and 36. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that motion carries as well. I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
There's a motion and second to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting adjourns at 7:53 p.m. Thank you.